You guys are launching more wars than George W. Bush ever did and are so sick you lecture us how it's humanitarian. The blood of the Libyans is on your hands. Angelina Jolie, UN, NATO, the rest of you. The blood of the Syrians is on your hands. And all these UN massacres that you're now supporting and pushing the ICC and trying to legitimize global government, it's on your hands. The only chance you've got is to repent and
almost like the Flashpoint, where it starts, one of the key matrix lines that will help shatter this status centralized system.
Well, you've done it again, or you've come here for the first time. You have found Flashpoint Radio. You just watched a clip from one of Alex Jones's newest videos entitled Why Angelina Jolie Must Go to Jail. I will play more of that tomorrow, and I will cover Kony 2012 tomorrow and some crimes committed by the UN and NATO forces. But today we're going to focus on some other NATO forces, a U.S. soldier allegedly that murdered some people in Afghanistan. I am your host, Jay-Z, here on Flashpoint Radio. It is Monday, March 12th, 2012. Thank you for coming over to see me, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, at Flashpoint Radio, Facebook.com/Flashpoint Radio, and hit subscribe above and stay informed and up to date. We're going to get right into what happened over the weekend. I don't watch much mainstream news, so I don't know of the defense that is being put up by the neocon warhawk talk show media. But if you didn't know, a U.S. soldier, allegedly one U.S. soldier, killed 16 Afghan civilians in a province over there at in the city outside of the base that he was stationed at in southern Afghanistan. I got lots of links below. Check out all the links. But this is just, I don't know. We're just gonna go over this. Headline: New York Times: U.S. sergeant is said to kill 16 civilians in Afghanistan. Not only were they civilians, 9 were children and 3 were women. The initial reporting that we have at this time indicates that there was one shooter and we have 1 man in custody. Well, that comes from an Army or Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Cummins, a NATO spokesperson. We get our orders from NATO. Watch the episode from last Friday. And he says the initial reporting that we have at this time indicates there was 1 soldier. Well, turns out, this comes to us from the Daily Mail headline: U.S. soldier kills 16 Afghan civilians. This says, a statement quoted a 15-year-old survivor named Rafieullah shot in the leg, telling Karzai, the president of Afghanistan, in a phone call that soldiers, plural, broke into his house, woke up his family, and began shooting them. This comes to us from Reuters. Quote from someone in the village: they, Americans in parentheses, poured chemicals over their dead bodies and burned them. Neighbors said they had awoken to crackling gunfire from American soldiers, plural, who they described as laughing and drunk. Quote, they were all drunk and shooting all over the place, says neighbor Agalala, who visited one of the homes where the killings took place. Their victims' bodies were riddled with bullets. Of course, U.S. defense officials said, based on preliminary reports, this account is flatly wrong, but there is a lot of first-hand accounts stating that there were more than 1 soldier. But our media is following the line of our government that is run by the globalists, that it was 1 rogue soldier. Well, 1 rogue soldier, where might he have been based in the United States when he was back here stateside? This comes to us from Associated Press. Afghanistan suspect's base had 2012 killing case. Okay, he was stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington, about 45 miles south of Seattle. This is the base where in 2010 a Salt Lake City police officer was killed by a troop that was stationed here. Just this year, on January 1st, a 24-year-old Iraq war veteran shot and killed a Mount Rainier National Park ranger in a standoff in the national park. 4 Lewis McChord soldiers were convicted in the 2012 deliberate thrill killings of 3 Afghan civilians. So, multiple deaths have come from people that come from this base. 4 soldiers were convicted of killing innocent civilians in Afghanistan that came from this base. This guy, if it was just one person, came from this base. Probably more than, if there was more than one shooter, they probably all came from this base. It says little is known about the soldier who committed the atrocities, but a U.S. official said he's married with 3 children and served 3 separate tours in Iraq. This was his first deployment to Afghanistan. It says he was assigned to support, this is funny, a special operations unit of either Green Berets or Navy SEALs engaged in village stability operations. They were there to work with the villagers. Well, they did a wonderful choice. Hey, Angelina Jolie, we're going to use these guys in Uganda, so I hope you're happy. Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's happening? I don't even see how you can pan this off. I don't know how you can defend this. This is not, by talking about this is not bashing the military. Something's going on, and if they don't investigate and find out, maybe he's on pharmaceuticals, like a lot of military are tested on pharmaceuticals. You know, they test pharmaceuticals, and they put them through tests and a lot of rigorous things in the beginning, and it makes them crazy. Or it could be that they were brainwashed, or it could be that we're recruiting people that all they do is play Call of Duty and Modern Warfare and all these things where they just kill people and there's no level, they put no worth on life. It's just a person in a video game. It's a pixelated character. It's some brown guy. It's some terrorist. Do we see what we're doing over here? Now, what does this come after? What does this come after? Now, in the last 6 to 12 months, what have we done? Well, we burned Qurans less than a month ago, and 2 soldiers died in reprisals from the Taliban and the people, and multiple clashes, and about, I think, 26 Afghan civilians were killed afterwards. Go figure. We have that. This article that came to us from Wall Street Journal, Quran burning protests escalate. That is from February 25th. We have this from InfoWars. Headline, Rick Perry defends Marines who urinated on corpses. Yes. He said, quote, these kids made a mistake. These kids. Okay. Then maybe we shouldn't be putting these kids in the situation where they can make these mistakes. Urinating on corpses that they probably shot, and they were probably, maybe, unarmed civilians, and they put guns on them to show that they're armed insurgents to justify their thrill killing in the conviction of those people, those troops from Lewis McChord. Seriously. And Rick Perry, who was a contender and who was trumpeted by plenty in mainstream media, defended them, along with Dana Lash, along with almost all the neocon journalists out there, defended the Marines and said, well, do you see what the Muslims did to us and they do to us? So that's where we get neocons and war hawks and people who just love war say, well, they do it to us, so we can do it. What happened to an America where we were better than everyone else, that we held ourselves to a higher moral standard that came from God and Christianity? We didn't force that moral standard on people, but it was in our country, and it was the lifeblood and the level we should live by. No. Now we defend people for urinating on corpses. How about all the drone strikes? Let's see. U.S. drone strikes since 2004. Civilians killed. Upwards of 815 and 178. Obama administration had 264 drone strikes in his tenure so far. Only 52 by W. Bush. So who's your peace president, huh? Who's your peace president now? And a little side note on that. This comes to us from the WikiLeaks. They're talking about a mini drone. That's these micro UAVs can roughly be the size of a pizza platter and meant to monitor potential targets at close range. It can be outside your window and you won't hear a whisper, the official said. And this comes to us from a U.S. official. So they have drones the size of a pizza box that can fly outside your window silently and kill you with explosives, and they're using them on people in the Middle East. The Middle East is a training ground for our military to learn how to kick in doors and take guns from armed civilians that are defending their own homeland. Why? So they can come over here and do the same dang thing. And you know what? I've been doing a little bit of research on this, and it turns out that Pravda, state-run media in Russia, is doing a better job reporting our news than anyone else. They say this headline, Afghanistan, another NATO massacre. Yes, it's run by NATO, the globalists. So it's not our government. It's not our people. They're being run by NATO. Come back tomorrow and see what UN and what the UN and NATO has done and all of the atrocities they've performed, and see that this is a virus, an evil virus that is infecting our good men and women in the military, because this globalist organization is being run by eugenicists that want to kill everybody. And so they don't care when one man or a group of soldiers kills 16 innocent civilians. That's 16 less people on their planet. Do you get it? But they talk about, let's see, what else did they do? Sodomizing Islamic prisoners, urinating in the food, releasing dogs on prisoners. Check out these articles. Please look them up. And what do I think all of this is? Now, I think this could be a psyop. I think this could have been mind control, or they knew this guy was drugged and was going to get out, or they damn near got him all drunk and said, let's go do this. That's what they do. It's called infiltrator. They put one guy in to escalate things. They do it in almost every, deep cover and every terrorist infiltration. They put one guy in and he says, let's do this. And he talks him into it, and then either drugs him or gets him drunk, and then they end up doing it. And he slides back and he goes, I didn't do nothing, and blames the people that he tricked into doing it. Look at all the FBI files on all the foiled terror plots in the last years. But what is this covering? Well, in my opinion, it's covering the fact that impeachment papers have been served, or at least a warning has been put in Congress under a resolution by a Congressman, Walter B. Jones from North Carolina, putting Obama on, putting him on notice that what he has done in Libya and what he is about to do in Syria is unconstitutional, and they will go after impeachment on him. Now, what happened when Bill Clinton got impeached in the late 90s? It was on every news channel all day long, 24 hours. I got to go to InfoWars, who, by the way, now it seems like with Pravda and all of these other sites, is now the mainstream and go-to media when you want the truth and when you want honest reporting. Their headline, Resolution Threatens Obama Impeachment. Links below. So yeah, they're trying to cover the fact that last week, Obama's administration basically said, we work for the international unions and the international delegations. We don't work for Congress anymore. And now they do this, and we're talking about all these Afghan murders, and we're talking about Kony 2012. We're not actually talking about the corruption and the overthrow of our republic as we know it. What else? Well, Joe Arpaio, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, released his report and findings from an actual investigation stating that the birth certificate is false. It's false. WorldNet Daily, did threats silence media on Obama probe? This says, during our investigation, we were told that media had been threatened with FTC investigations. Commenters had been threatened with their jobs, and some of them quit because of fear for their family and their safety. Over running a story about how our president might not be eligible to be president. And we go to Pravda. Arizona sheriff finds Obama presidential qualifications forged. And Pravda calls out our media in the United States. A Soviet online newspaper, state-run, calls out our media because our media is corrupt. They work for the globalist corporate whores. Just like Alex Jones said about Angelina Jolie. I'm sorry to use the language, but that's what they are. But we're talking about Rush Limbaugh and some student getting free contraceptives when that doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter at all. So get involved, people. Get involved and look at the links below. Do your own research. Come back and see me. Go see Alex Jones and InfoWars. Listen online. Call your radio stations. Get them to play him. Come back tomorrow, Kony 2012. We'll break it down. Jay-Z signing off saying God bless and keep your eyes to the sky.
Tree with the feathers of angels stuck beneath